Well, EG had their backs against the wall, but they were able to pull out the clutch win when they needed it the most, extending this series and forcing yet another game. Empire maintains their 2-1 lead, but EG one win away from knotting it up and taking us all the way, and how appropriate that would be. Again, back to the storyline to rehash it if you're just tuning in. Empire and EG, this is their third meeting here in the D2L. First time was in the group stage. EG hung a big goose egg on them, beating them 2-0. Empire returned the favor earlier today in the winners bracket final, giving EG their first best-of-3 loss throughout the entire tournament. The entire tournament, EG had not lost a series, and Empire gave them that, knocking them down to the lower bracket. EG able to beat Dignitas in an extended series, but now Empire with the 1-0 advantage got a win in game number 1. EG battled back in that last game and made it 2-1, and now you're caught up. I'm AC, that's Draskell. $10,000, the prize pool, $5,000 to first place, whoever walks away the winner here. Second place gonna be $3,000, and Dignitas already locked down third place with 2 Gs. EG looked really, really good in that last game, Draskell. I'll tell you what I really want to shout out to them is the fact that I still feel like they were a little outpicked in a lot of ways. I won't say necessarily completely outdrafted, but I feel like they had a lot of deficiencies in their lineup, and they were able to just get the job done through pure skill and solid execution.
They definitely had good execution last game, and to be totally honest, I felt like, especially Funnick, and it was totally uncharacteristic of him, but he got picked off in a lot of situations that I just didn't really think were normal for him. Maybe he was just in a little bit of a funk for that game. Hopefully he can recover from that. Want to see, of course, both of these teams coming in this fourth game, at their best possible shape. But it really feels like whoever gets Templar Assassin just wins, and it looks like Empire is going to be the recipient of that hero in game number 4. So Team Empire off to a good start, gets Scandal TA, not too bad.
Yeah, and I'm forced to agree with you. And again, we kind of touched on a little bit earlier today. Why not just Banner? I mean, yeah, Batrider's awesome, as is Wisp, as is Bounty Hunter. I think I would much rather deal with a Bounty Hunter, though, than a Templar Assassins in a lot of ways, because a TA can just dictate the entire flow of the game if she gets off to a good start. Bounty, even under the best of circumstances, which we got to look at, still has to have a team around him to maximize his potential. If he's going to really be effective, I mean, he's a good ganker, and he does what he does. But he's not like a Clinkz, who if he goes completely nuts, gets a ton of farm, is just going to roll around the map and completely take things over. That's not his role. He's like a Scottie Pippen of Dota. He tends to make his team better as a whole, as opposed to relying on his own individual performance. Anyway, enough about that. TA is picked up, most likely going to be run by Scandal on Empire's side this time around. EG going to follow that up with an Undying and a fairly early picked Veno. Now, we see Veno picked up in the first phase pretty frequently, but usually when you do see him come out, it's going to be as a third pick. This time picked up just a smidge early in that second slot.
I'm not sure if they think that Empire is a team who runs Veno. I personally have never in the history of Empire seen them pick a Veno, ever, in any circumstance, so I'm not really sure if it's in their arsenal. They probably could have taken something else if they really wanted to, but it's pretty much up to them at this point. Venomancer is still very good against Templar Assassin. I don't know if they're going to be running a mid, but they gave away a Darkseer too and a Sven, so this is actually a little bit worrisome. I feel like already you have Cleave, that completely counters Tombstone. You have Darkseer, of course, with his Ion Shell Surge, his just amazing teamfight potential, and a TA. What is EvilGeniuses getting in this first 3 that it's going to put them at some kind of an advantage? That's the question I'm asking myself right now, because in the last 2 games, you could argue, okay, there were specific things that EG kind of had in mind, but this draft, I kind of feel like Empire just has a way better 3 heroes right now.
No, I agree completely. The only thing I can think of for EG to value Veno so highly is if they just said, you know what, we want to shut down TA. We know that hero is of extreme value, and I mean, the fact they gave her away is a little surprising if that's the way of thinking. But if they want to run a carry plus a Veno, 2-on-1 in mid, that is one way you can try to deal with a TA. Windrunner picked up there. Now, see, this kind of sets me back on my fit a bit. I mean, Venomancer came out early, a little bit early comparatively. Windrunner, I could say the same thing. We've seen Windrunner picked up in the first pick phase plenty of times. It's not completely unheard of. But what particular value have they gotten out of these first 3 picks? I mean, Windrunner's an awesome hero. Veno, same thing, Undying. Very often first pick, first ban. But let's, as you said, I mean, just compare them. Sven, Darkseer, and TA. Arguably the 3 highest valued heroes, except maybe a Batrider. Batrider maybe a little bit more highly valued by some teams than Sven, but it just doesn't get any more star-studded than what Empire has already put together with their picks. And EG, I mean, no matter what their game plan is, I feel like they could have held off for at least 2 of those 3 picks.
They definitely could have, especially considering the fact that Undying plus Darkseer is a very, very potent combination in itself. So again, getting a Sven, Darkseer, Templar, Assassin in the first three, not bad. If you're Empire and EG picks up Windrunner, Venomancer, Undying, Undying is definitely way up there on the top tier competitive list for sure. And Venomancer is a very strong laner, don't get me wrong, but the Windrunner pick, it kind of tells me that they might want to do a Windrunner mid, because when you have a Venomancer Undying, that tells me that you're probably going to be running an aggressive tri-lane, whereas the Darkseer is already picked up from Empire, which is going to be your off laner, and you're going to be putting a Sven tri-lane against potentially whatever the Venomancer Undying +1 lane is going to be. So with that being said, the mid game, I got to favor Empire here pretty much without a doubt. It's just going to be down to, again, if EG can get the better of the laning phase. But it always seems like they pick these compositions where Empire just knows exactly what they're going to be doing before they do. And then they get outlaned and then still don't have a better mid game than Empire. And that's really what makes me worry right now for the draft of EvilGeniuses.
Yeah, and we've said this over and over again, and we've seen them do this over and over again. They pick themselves into a corner. They pick themselves where they don't have a lot of flexibility. They don't, and it's not even a lack of flexibility. I mean, Venomancer, Undying, Windrunner are flexible heroes in and of themselves, but when you have all three of them come out this early, your next two picks and the way you lane this is going to begin to get really, really narrow. And more to the point, what EG has kind of been doing to themselves lately is making it so they have a very certain, very specific and identifiable set of goals in the late early game and mid game phases, where if they don't accomplish that goals, they just kind of lose. Like, there's no way, based on what they have right now, that they can team fight with Empire at any given point that we can foresee in the future. And Empire's going to go ahead and just continue to roll with that. Enigma's going to be banned out. It would not surprise me a bit to see Empire spend a 5th ban on Tidehunter here if they really want to. And then what are they going to do? You've got the mass AoE stun coming out from Sven with the Stormhammer, not to mention Warcry, the bonuses it gives to everyone. Templar Assassin certainly would be happy to have that bonus armor. Not to mention Refraction, Darkseer, Wall Vacuum, not to mention the Surge, and of course the Ion Shell. With a lineup like EG has, it seems like they have to win their lanes hard. Like, they're going to have to shut down TA and Sven almost completely. Otherwise, they run the risk of just getting flat out run over.
That's kind of how I feel. But the question is, how much can you really shut down a TA, especially because it's on the Radiant side? You're not going to be able to even abuse the mid pull because Empire gets the TA on the proper side of the map, and that's really the thing that's going to hurt a lot, is being able to just get the TA free farm pretty much no matter what. Even against a Windrunner, although Windrunner can farm against Templar Assassin in a lot of cases, you're not really going to stop her from farming either, and the base damage difference between the two heroes is too huge to really overcome. So eventually you're going to start getting out CS'd after about level 3 to 5 when Refraction starts getting the extra ranks. I don't know, it's questionable to say the least, and I'm not sure what EvilGeniuses has in mind for their last two picks, but it looks like Tidehunter hasn't been banned out just yet. So if they want to try to go all in on some kind of a mid-game teamfight potential, I kind of see what they're going for, but I still feel as though in terms of a laning phase, Empire just has it in spades, and I'm not really sure what they're going to be able to do.
Yeah, and I want to point out, by the way, Jakiro has not been picked or banned, and unless EG takes him out here, I would dare say you can bank on Empire picking him up. And, I mean, it's kind of amazing to me. Again, Venomancer, as good as he is, why not a Jakiro? Windrunner, I would be willing to bet just about anything Windrunner was not going to be banned, and they could have picked Windrunner up in 4th or 5th slot, or if not, they could have at least interchanged her out with another solid long lane. But we'll wait and see, and maybe EG is just so far ahead of us in next level thinking we just can't even fathom it. They certainly do like green, though, I'll tell you that. They're running Team Green as of right now. Well, meanwhile, Empire kind of hanging around the bottom end of the light spectrum, hanging in that purple, kind of bluish, purple-violet sort of a range.
It's not too bad. In terms of respective color power, I got to give the advantage to EG because I love green. I think green is like one of the best colors. But this is a situation now where Empire basically only needs 2 supports. EG, at the very least, needs a middle and some kind of a carry who's going to get farm fear. Again, doesn't have his hero. And I'm not sure who they're going to put mid in the offlane. Whenever I see a Windrunner in this situation, I'm thinking to myself, would he really go to an offlane when it's going to be pretty much a clear Sven aggressive tri-lane coming out with potentially 2, if not 3 stuns?
Right.
And, I mean, you know what's really interesting about this lineup is that although Jakiro has been highly valued in pretty much every single game that Empire has played, he was the very, very last ban out in this entire game. And Empire's picking up a Chen.
Wow. Yeah, I'm genuinely speechless. Like, since when does Empire run Chen? Like, seriously.
Well, I haven't seen them run it in a very, very long time. I know they did at one point a very long time ago, back when everybody used to run Chen, but that was because everybody used to run Chen. But it's been a very long time since I've seen them pull this out of their hat. how far have we come to say that a Chen is a surprise pick? By the way?
I know. Exactly.
It just doesn't. It doesn't really seem like it's a surprise pick because we used to see him all the time, but it's fallen off pretty heavily in the last couple of months. Ever since the International 2 ended, people started making this transition, especially after the patch, to all these aggressive heroes, more kill gold and assist gold, things like that. The more aggressive style kind of just trumped everything else, but I'm feeling a Sven Chen +1 off-seer dark lane and a Templar assassin mid, and it looks like for EG we could potentially be seeing an off-lane Queen of Pain or Windrunner, depending on who's going to be running it.
Yeah, Empire picking up Chen, if nothing else, throws a curveball. And for those who are wondering why we're kind of freaking out and wondering why that is such a surprise, it's because if you follow Empire Dota, and we certainly casted them quite a bit here through the D2L, Chen is a much more defensive pick, almost always going to be defensively tri-laning, and I don't even know that Empire knows the words defensive tri-lane, especially when you're talking about a hard jungling defensive tri-lane like a Chen. And given how much aggression and how much pure mid-game, I mean, you can understand they've got a ton of mid-game viability, and with Chen's heal coming into play at level 6, not to mention his push potential coming out of the jungle, it certainly plays into that. But usually Empire is much more focused on just flat-out getting kills. And while Chen can serve that purpose to a certain extent, he is certainly not high on the tier list in terms of supports that you could fit into a tri-lane, especially a defensive tri-lane that would help you out in that regard. I mean, Leshrac, for example, is a much more Empire-esque sort of a hero. Sand King, even. Very Empire-esque in his ability to engage aggressively and have a little bit of an out. But anyway, enough about that. They picked him. They're running him. Back to EG, and they're going to go ahead and pick up a Disruptor as well. So, and Disruptor, I think, kind of straddles that middle line, talking about what is and is not a typical Empire hero. He can be an extremely high-value pick no matter what. We've seen Disruptors. The only problem with Disruptor is if you apply a lot of pressure to him, he can begin to crack in the early levels, in the early laning phase, but he's going to have a Chen backing him up, most likely going to be paired up with a Sven, so they're going to have a lot of potential there. One good Stormhammer, kinetic field to lock someone in place. You can see the kill potential already available to them. EvilGeniuses, Undying, Venomancer, Windrunner, Queen of Pain, and waiting on a 5th pickup. Here we'll see if they want to run that quap mid. They're going to go ahead and go with the Clinkz. So EvilGeniuses, with again their backs against the wall, just one game away from elimination, taking a page out of Empire's playbook. Clinkz extremely highly valued by them. They're going to look to repeat some success with him here today.
I think Clinkz has some pretty good potential here. The one thing, though, that you have to worry about is that there's a good chance he's going to be up against a Darkseer. And Darkseer against Clinkz, Darkseer can push your tower so hard at the early stages of the game that you might not be able to get as much farm as you would like because you have to CS under your tower constantly. Not to mention you're going to be taking damage from those creeps. So it's going to get to a point in the early phases, especially since he's being pulled regeneration from his own team, that Funnick is going to be able to do what he does on Darkseer, which is play super aggressive, force you to fight under your tower, and just be super annoying. So even though Fear is going to be likely farming in his safe lane, it's really not going to be all that safe. So we're going to have to see what other lanes EG is going to bring to bear here to stop the Sven from farming, to stop the TA from getting her early game that I don't know if they're going to be able to stop at this point, because the hero they're putting against at mid is Queen of Pain, which is pretty good. Shadow Strike does a reasonable job at eating through refraction. She's going to have decent rune control, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. We haven't seen a single hero today who is capable of fully shutting down Templar Assassin on either team.
Yeah. TA is just one of those heroes that tends to, well, I take it back. Apparently Magnosaurus is good enough. We saw Demon do quite a good job using Magnus against TA on EG's way here, but granted, he did have a lot of help out of Bdiz running on Venomancer then, as he is now. But yeah, EG's got their work cut out for them. But again, going back to that last game, I felt it had the exact same feeling, maybe not quite as poignantly as I do right now, but I feel like EG, because of their lineup, had very little margin for error, and they were able to execute. Going to be looking to do that for the second game in a row. Already have wards down out from EG and the enemy side jungle, and the lane's beginning to take shape now. Funnick making his way up to top. He's going to be going head-to-head with Fear. And the bad thing about a Clinkz versus a Darkseer can kill you even if you happen to go ahead and use your Skeleton Walk to try and get away just because of the Ion Shell. So just because you happen to have that to rely on does not mean it's going to bail you out if you overextend and take too much damage.
That's kind of one of the inherent problems too, and what Darkseer is able to do against heroes like this, especially in a long lane, is since you can go past the tower and cut the creeps, your tower is going to be dropping a lot faster than normal. Sometimes when it's a melee versus a melee, at the very least you can buy a Stout to tank creeps under your tower, whereas ranged can't really do that because of the fact that the Stout doesn't give you that much more survivability. It only blocks 10 damage as opposed to 20, which is a pretty big deal considering that creeps on average only hit you for about 20 damage. So now Funnick is actually pulling actually pulling his enemy's wave and even using it to kill some neutrals here, which is pretty clever play. And this is just maximizing your efficiency. Again, he's going to get every single one of those neutrals and the full wave. So Funnick already level 3, almost a full level ahead of Fear, and he's going to be forced to pull this wave so far back that Funnick can continue to play aggressive.
Taking a look at the other lanes, it actually is not Quap going mid. Hang on, SS going to catch a Gale. They're going to try to follow it up. A little bit of spell spam coming out from the Undying. No immediate follow-up from Jeyo. Jeyo has skilled his first point in the Shadow Strike, so they're going to be able to whip that out if at any point Empire overextends down there. But it's going to be Scandal versus Demon. Demon back here in mid, and yeah, he's on a hero he's very comfortable with. We've seen Demon excel on Windrunner a number of times. Just don't see Windrunner in mid nearly as often now as you used to. Demon, most likely, when he winds up mid, usually going to be running on the Magnoceros. We're going to have Goblak come on out along with Scandal, give a little relief to Scandal, taking a lot of abuse out of Demon. And we'll wait to see how the early last hits pan out. We can see TA's doing quite well, sitting at 10, but so is Demon. Sitting at 9, 14 last hits. For old Funnick actually chasing Fear down. Almost had him down to death, actually. So Funnick, as expected, dominating that. And what's problematic about that is it isn't just that he's dominating and that's good for all the obvious reasons. Holding a Clinkz down makes Clinkz useless. Like, Clinkz just hang on. Blowyourbrain's actually going to drop here. Good Shadow Strike, good body blocking coming out of Maelk as well. Not to mention the Venomous Gale. So Maelk ends up putting first blood on the board. That's certainly going to help them out a little bit.
And first blood is always a good thing, especially when you give it to a hero like Undying, who, while he doesn't need too much farm, he's actually able to do pretty good things with it. If he gets something like an early Vanguard or anything like that, he can tank up. And it's interesting, too, because I kind of expect the winner is eventually going to be going up against the TA. And in this position, Demon can still get some semblance of farm. Just needs to be really careful about the side blades, not eating too much harassment when he goes up against this. And in terms of overall CS, you can actually power shot to compensate for the damage difference. He just really needs to play it a little more passively than he is right now, because you can see Scandal is just absolutely abusing him, got him down to below half HP, just by attacking the creeps.
Yep.
He only hit Demon himself one time, and Funnick is just making Fear's life miserable. This is what I was saying earlier. You don't have to click on the hero itself, which if you tower dive with creeps and you don't have to click on the hero, you don't draw tower aggro.
Right.
You can just sit next to him and do damage to him over time, and that's why Fear is basically sitting at no mana here. You can actually not even skeleton walk for another couple mana.
Oh, poor Maelk. Slid into the shop. Here comes EG on the backside, though. They're going to hit a Gale. SS caught out. There's the Warcry. Kinetic Field is up. It's going to catch Maelk inside. Disruptor's going to die in the meantime. Maelk still the target. Goblak's here doing what damage he can. Doesn't have any creeps in tow, though. Now running away from EG. They're going to get Goblak as well. Big coup for EG after Maelk was caught a bit out of position. They reacted quite well, hit all the spells they needed to hit. Not a single point in Scream of Pain from Jeyo, and they still had the damage to seal the deal there. In the meantime, Funnick has destroyed the top tower. And yeah, this is not something as good as EG's doing in the bottom lane. They cannot allow Clinkz to continue to suffer like this, and was kind of touching on that, then got sidetracked. Clinkz is not a hero who can bring a whole lot to you unless he has farm. If he doesn't have farm, he's basically dead weight. And EG, and again, doing real well down here, leading 3-0. Still going to have to do something more. Here we go. SS going to be caught. There's a kinetic field goes down as well. That's going to lock Bdiz in, but SS is going to drop in the meantime. Blowyourbrain trying to get his buddy out of harm. Not going to be able to do so. So add another kill to their total.
EG is doing a spectacular job in this tri-lane of being able to take people out, and this is something that really shouldn't be happening as often as it is, and I think it might just be due to the inexperience of running Chen if you're Empire, because, I mean, I'll be honest, I know Goblak's a great player, but I have not seen him play Chen in ages. No. It's been a very, very long time, and no matter how good you are, sometimes you play a hero that you think, you know, we could run this, and you really can't. So I hope that's not the case for Empire, but we also have to keep in mind that tower top is already dead. 4-minute tower for Funnick playing against this Clinkz. And the Clinkz has actually resorted to pulling the small camp just because he can't get any farm at all. Funnick is tripling Fear's overall creep score right now. And while some of those are jungle creeps, it's also like every single lane creep ever, because that's just what Darkseer does in this lane. He skips the creeps, he gets everything. It's 100% effective farm.
EG trading off a loss in that lane and getting the most out of this tri-lane. Goblak has now moved in more or less for full time. He's got a Centaur with him, and yeah, I'm going to agree. Goblak seems very weak on Chen. We have not felt his influence at all, despite the fact that he's been down here. Even when he came out to try and bail his team out, he didn't have any creeps worth mentioning. And now Demon might drop. Yep, Scandal is going to get him, so Demon, if there's any one downside he has as a player, his aggressive style allows him to make some big plays and allows him to turn the tide for his team in many, many ways, but he can be punished because of it. Fear forced all the way back, and yeah, look at Funnick. He's already sitting in the shadow of the tier 2 top tower, just running Fear out of lane, more or less. Taking a look at the CS, that's reflected, 41 for him, 33 for Scandal in mid. Jeyo's doing quite a decent job down here, 22 last hits. He's matched up with Demon in mid on the Windrunner at 21 as well. Fear at 17 now, but a lot of that, those easy camp creeps that he did pull. And yeah, I mean, it's really what it's going to come down to is how much mileage Empire can get out of holding Clinkz down, despite the fact that they're struggling mightily down in this bottom tri-lane.
It's going to be a pretty big deal, honestly. Clinkz not having much of an impact for a much later point in time, that's going to hurt EG so much, especially when heroes start getting BKBs. Not that that's going to be anytime soon, but you figure Scandal's going to get a BKB, the Sven's going to get a BKB, and then you're going to be in a situation where you don't really do any damage to anyone because your Clinkz is still trying to farm his Orchid and you're playing 4-on-5. Whereas Funnick can do the full damage anytime at this point because he's almost got max rank of his vacuum. He's got the Ion Shell already at level 4, working towards a mech that he's going to have probably at around 10 minutes. So this is a very difficult situation for EG. Even as good as their tri-lane is doing, which is doing very well, they need to do more with it.
They've been holding Blowyourbrain down about as well as they could expect. 2 last hits only for him right now. He's really been struggling. Also has a death on the board. It seems like this happened to Blow once before. It's worth mentioning. I'm pretty sure Blow did get held down completely on his Sven and then just bounced back in an amazing fashion. Can't remember who it was against, but just because the situation's irrelevant, not seeing EG is going to allow that to happen. They really have locked this entire lane down. And you can even see by how aggressive their posturing is surrounding this tier 1 bottom tower. And yeah, they're going to go ahead and engage. They're going to dive. Blow forced to use the Warcry. Going to spend his Stormhammer as well. No reaction comes as he dies for the second time. 1-5. EG absolutely rolling down there. In the meantime, Fear. Every time I look at Fear, he's either healing up from having no health or has no health again. So his struggles continue, sitting at just level 6, almost level 7 in comparison to Funnick, who's approaching level 9 at this point. The tier 2 top, already down to half health.
Well, this is kind of just what happens when you commit so heavily to a tri-lane that you're unwilling to bring even one person up to help Fear at this point. In all honesty, I think it would probably be in EG's best interest to just send Bdiz to top lane. I mean, Gale is enough of a disable to stop Funnick from doing what he's doing.
Demon doubles back. Goblak and Scandal were there. Caught him with the side trap. Scandal's going to use the phase, trying to pursue Demon out. And yeah, Demon is just running and waiting on help, basically. Waiting on the rest of his team, knew the help was coming. Therefore, it was one of those situations where you kept looking at it going, which way is he running? Why is he running? Hang on, SS caught out. Shadow Strike's going to kill him, or going to get him and lead to a death, almost certainly. There's a little power shot. Little help from Demon, not even needed, though. Undying manages to pick off Disruptor once again. 1-6, EG looking strong. Saw a Shackle Shot go out. It looks like maybe Empire's had enough of this bottom lane. 4 members of EG down here at the moment, though. So if they decide to try and battle it out, they're going to have to battle hardcore, and they may just abandon this lane at this point.
It is a possibility. They could rotate, but the fact of the matter is they're not going to find anybody from EG to rotate on. Windrunner is very difficult to gank. Even with TA traps, it's still pretty difficult. You're going to have to get your Sven stun there in quick succession with a trap to be able to do anything, and the Windrunner negates all the damage that they basically have after their initial stun is already down. And speaking of stuns, EG doesn't really have any. They have a Shackle, and that's about it. So during a couple of team fights later on, once a TA starts getting a couple of items, he might even go for a Blink Dust, so he might not even deem it worthy of buying a BKB in this game, even though EG does a lot of magic damage. They don't have anything to stop him in a fight. They don't have hard stuns like sometimes we see out of heroes like Sven in this particular game, but EG is managing to do some pressure to the tier 1 bottom. Their tri-lane is starting to be a little more fruitful than it was before, and getting a lot of kills is nice, but if you look at the golden experience, Empire is still ahead. Yeah. Like, they're still ahead in overall, even with the camps being blocked of Chen here in the woods, so things are looking a little bit rough for the tri-lane, but as long as Funnick keeps doing what he's doing, they're not going to have a transition.
Yep. And we can see, I mean, level 8 on Clinkz now. He's caught up in terms of experience, though. Dark Seer almost level 10. Funnick continuing to just be an unbelievable pain in the ass. And now he's going to go ahead and TP down. They're going to engage. Tombstone's down. Maelk's going to be targeted down first, though. Scandal there, doing good damage. Sonic Wave goes out. Doesn't do nearly enough damage, though. Bdiz trying to run. Sentry Ward is down. And here we go, continuing to try and pour it on, trying to turn this tri-lane a bit around. Good team engagement here, and this is what we knew could happen. Scandal is going to be shackled, though, down to half health. He's got an Ion Shell, but he's going to be forced out. Funnick is there with the Surge ready now. Is he going to spend it? Nope, nope, never mind. Chen sent her home. It's been so long since I've casted a Chen, it actually kind of surprised me to see someone sent home via Chen, but such is the case. EG drops a death, but all told, not too bad a job, and Bdiz might end up dead here. Funnick, oh, the Gale dodged as well. Funnick. Oh, what a play. And again, Funnick just plays amazingly on so many heroes. Darkseer, one of those chief, very skilled heroes he happens to have in his arsenal. Demon now going to be hit by a Stormhammer in mid, being pursued by Scandal as well. Demon might be in trouble using the Windrun. Melt's there. There's a kinetic field, and Demon caught out. Great use of the kinetic field out of SS. Right place, right time, and another kill on the board. Empire continuing to close this gap, but even then, you can't even call it a true gap. The gold was in their favor, now even more in their favor as they're up to 1,000 gold lead.
They're starting to realize the problem of, hey guys, there's a Darkseer with a mech finished and an energy booster with a soul ring already done and a ring of health. Actually, he just finishes arcanes too. He's got 92 CS at 12 minutes. We have a problem. That's pretty much what is going through EG's head right now, because they can actually transition completely out of this top lane being played by Funnick, and now he can go anywhere he wants. He's level 11 at 12 minutes. He has done his job in shutting down the Clinkz so far, and now he can help the rest of his team, and they're looking to push mid in the meantime.
Level 11, compare that to Maelk and to Bdiz, who are 6 and 5 respectively. It just goes to show how much progress he made in that top lane. Scandal, taking a little bit of damage here. Tombstone is down. Empire slow to react, slow to pull back. And EG maybe kinetic field is going to go up. Bdiz and Maelk both going to get caught. Shackle shot. Going to catch SS. Demon spamming the power shot. Not a lot of follow-up coming out of Empire, though. They're a little spread out, a little too spread out to go ahead and try to punish and make use of that kinetic field, I should say. And Demon, going to eat a meld. A lot of health gone immediately. Just a lot of right-click damage being done. Bdiz drops down the Sentry Ward. Little D-warding going on by virtue of that. Venomous Gale going to be off the mark. And Darkseer just going to dive all the way to the Tier 3 because he can and get another kill while all this is going on. He's very low health. Has to be careful. Oh, what a power shot! Demon, next level. Well done using the creeps to spot for him. Guessed where he was going to be going, timed it up perfectly. Well done for him. Another kill for EG, another kill, another notch in the quill for Demon, I should say. But Empire, in the meantime, does manage to take that Tier 1 mid.
Well, the funny thing about that dive is that he dove the hardest hero to kill, which was Queen of Pain. There's nobody on the team right now of EG outside of, I guess, Clinkz, who was harder to kill than that, and he got it. Diving past 2 towers. And then he did get picked off, but his team got a tower anyway. So ultimately, Empire still comes out a little bit ahead in that regard. And I'm just a little bit awestruck in how they let Funnick do what he was doing for so long. When they were winning bottom so hard, they could have sent Bdiz to the top lane and still been able to, at the very least, farm on Jeyo because it's Queen of Pain. It's not like a Sven is going to be able to harass a Queen of Pain in a lane like that. So I'm a little bit curious as to what their thought process is behind not letting somebody move sooner.
Empire pushing this Tier 1 bottom. EG has 4 in position. The Tombstone did go down. They're going to go ahead and pull back, at least for the moment. Blowyourbrain is making up a little bit of distance in terms of farm. Still way low, sitting at 24. Has 2 deaths on the board as well, but he has up his treads, a bracer, and a magic stick at the very least. So getting something done. 14 minutes, though. Certainly not where he wants to be in terms of farm. Blink Dagger phase, as well as the wand in the bottle, of course, up on Scandal. And EG is going to go ahead and risk a Roche. Looks like somebody bought a medallion. That would be Clinkz. So Fear trying to get the most out of this. Fear the second highest farmer on the map now, so he has made up some ground. But still miles and miles away from that Orchid. Has a long way to go. And this Roche going to be taken for free. Empire, none the wiser. And it's a little weird. They said, or maybe they did know. They were just said, you know what, we don't feel comfortable fighting this out. They had a ward in place. Instead, they take the Tier 1 bottom. Aegis does wind up on Queen of Pain. And they may push on through. In the meantime, up at top, Funnick doing what Funnick's done all game, which is just dominate that top lane. Looks like they may get 2 for 1 here.
Getting 2 for 1 is always going to be a favorable trade, of course, and the thing is, especially with Bdiz just wasting his go right there and doesn't manage to connect to anyone, if they do want to actually go back and try to pressure the tower, they absolutely can. Funnick won't be able to help them, but he gets the Tier 2 top anyway, all by himself, and he's got another 1,700 gold saved up. And Scandal is the second highest farmer on the map in terms of CS, sitting at 70. He's already got his blink done, probably going to be going for a BKB just for the safety of having a BKB, and Funnick's going to get shackled here top, but I don't think they're going to be able to kill him.
Nah, just way too tanky at this point. Way too many items in that inventory. Way too many levels under his belt as well. He even had the mechs at his disposal if he really wanted it. Scandal and SS not giving up the Ghost at the Tier 2 bottom. That's going to force the rotation out of EG. In the meantime, Empire just continues to add to his massive, unbelievably large heap of gold. 119 last hits now on him. And I haven't even taken a look at this yet. Probably should. Yeah, the gold per minute. He's sitting at 510 gold per minute on a Darkseer. On a Darkseer who has 3 kills at 15 minutes into the game. Hang on, I'm going to have an engagement on Bdiz. Uses the ulti, doesn't matter. Basically, just a use it or lose it sort of a move, as he dies quite easily to SS and Scandal. And yeah, you begin to feel, and this is what we knew could happen to EG if they weren't careful. They needed to win their... Oh, wow. Fear actually got vacuumed to the high ground. There's the wall, but Fear does manage to TP out, so Funnick, being the cheeky little bastard that he is, continues to play big on the little guy. But yeah, I mean, during the draft, we knew this could happen. EG, with a very particular set of skills, has to use them in a certain way, and they did not dominate the lanes they really needed to, especially in terms of Clinkz.
Well, they have a particular set of skills, especially that make them a terror for people like EG, but I'm not going to quote that movie anymore because personally I thought it was a pretty bad movie. But in general, EG is just in this weird position where they won a lane really hard, and then their mid did okay, not great, and then top got completely crushed. So Funnick is walking around here into the entirety of EG right now. Yeah,
he's caught out, and now the Chen heal's going to be there. And a little indecisiveness out of Empire. I think they could have benefited from rushing in there and getting the most out of EG all being grouped up. Jeyo's going to be there to blink in. Shadow Strike, Stormhammer, net on Jeyo, locks him in place, doesn't matter. Fear's there to finish that kill off. And Sven just not feeling... Oh, wow, what a vacuum into the kinetic field! Aegis is gone, Maelk's in trouble, he's gone! Demon, peace out! Jeyo back off the Aegis, trying to make a run for it. Funnick with the big vacuum, timing it up perfectly, and the glimpse brings Jeyo back into the jaws of death. Bdiz trying to find a way to safety and actually manages to do so as Demon threw out the shackle shot to bail him out. Scandal continuing to run rough shot, another big vacuum brings Demon back to the fight. Funnick doing so much damage, but what a combination. Funnick caught everyone he aimed for, brought them into the kinetic field, and Empire capitalizing in a big, big way. They take the lead in terms of kills, leading 10-9. The gold graph continues to climb upwards after a slight dip down. 5,000 the advantage for Empire now, up over 4,000 experience.
A really, really good buyback right there from Funnick. The vacuum and a kinetic field static storm combination is so ridiculously hard to deal with. Ever since the patch where you can't force staff out of it anymore, you have to have a BKB to be able to escape that, and that is so hard to do because it's a 3,900 gold item. Normally, before the patch, you could just get supports with a 4-staff or 2, and it wouldn't be so bad. Well, you can't do that anymore. So now when you get put back into there, it's like, well, what do we really do? Your hands are up in the air, and you kind of just die. So, with that being said, Disruptor is one of those supports that I feel is still a little bit underutilized, especially utilizing a glimpse after the blink of Queen of Pain, and oh, goodbye, Funnick. I don't think you're living, buddy.
Surging. Well, he says, no, you know what, Drasko, it's fine, bro. You don't need to worry about me. All of EG catches me, and I'm fine because I am that over-leveled and that impossible to kill because I happen to be a Dark Seer. So he does manage to make it away. But, yeah, I mean, it's the thing about Disruptor, and we even saw it a little bit earlier. He is, oh, hang on, Scandal and SS, they're going to go ahead and lock Demon in. There's the ulti out as well. Here comes Jeyo. Demon is going to drop. Scandal still with Refraction up. SS sitting there with Goblak. Goblak actually being blocked out by creeps a little bit. Scandal now being focus fired by Fear. There's a big vacuum wall. Jeyo has to make a run for it. Fear's going to be glimpsed back, and the kinetic field, he's going to be able to make it out of it before too much damage can be done. In the meantime, Jeyo being pursued. Maelk being pursued as well. Funnick just waddling after him, doing so much damage. Chen blows the heal to get him back in fighting shape with the gloves up. They're ready to keep swinging. Another kill. EG drops their third person, and Fear now the target. He may drop. Jeyo still on the backside. And never mind, Clinkz will die to the damage over time coming out from SS. Jeyo, the only remaining member of EG. And even though Demon did respawn, he's going to have to run for the tier 3. 14-10. And this is, yeah, and Blow's actually going to get a tower out of this as well.
Well, getting a tower for your trouble, definitely not a bad situation to say the least, especially considering Blowyourbrain has been kind of suffering this game. We haven't talked about him a whole lot, and it's mainly because the tri-lane of EG shut him down so hard that I haven't seen him in this weak of a position in a very, very long time, to be totally honest. And it just all goes down to the fact that Empire, once again, knowing what they want to accomplish and making sure they shut down the Clinkz. They themselves run the hero, so they know exactly what he needs at what time, and it just really doesn't feel like Fear is able to do, and he opted to go for the medallion first just to be able to fight sooner, which is great because Death Pact Synergize is good with minus armor, and that's all good, and they got the Roshan out of it, but it just doesn't really seem to matter.
Funnick gonna be caught with the shackle shot. There's a glimpse on Bdiz. He was bailed out momentarily. Doesn't matter. Good glimpse coming out from SS. Makes that a non-factor as he drops. He's down for 25 seconds. Empire still standing as 5, perhaps thinking to push. Kinetic field is up. That's going to catch Fear and Maelk both. Fear now the target. He's silenced. He can't skeleton walk. Sonic Wave vacuum, though. Brings him right back into the fight. Sonic Wave did good damage. Jeyo trying to keep the line held. Blinks back up to the high ground. Empire still standing, save for Funnick. Sonic Wave bought them some time, and Maelk once again caught in the kinetic field. Scandal with the meltdown. He goes. Jeyo, very little health, forced to run for the hills. Demon, speaking of running, needs the wind run. 2 seconds cooldown on it. He's being pursued by Blow and SS. Looks like he is going to be able to juke. The Warcry not enough to let them run them down. Fear is going to be melted again. Now Skeleton Walk. A viable option of escape, so he makes it back to the Tier 3. But yeah, Empire beginning to make the most of their lineup, much to EG's dismay, 17-12. And I doubt they're going to stop pouring it on anytime soon. If they do, it's just going to be to take a breather and get ready for round 2.
The thing that really, really hurts EG now is the fact that all those wards that they want to put up to try to prevent their map control from being taken away are going to be totally useless. I mean, if you look at Venomancer's inventory, the poor guy has 5 wards. He's been unable to get out on the map and even get the vision up for his team. And now there's a gem on the Dark Seer, as we're going to see Blowyourbrain get caught out here completely on the wrong side of the map.
He actually did a decent amount of damage, but with Jeyo and Bdiz there, did not matter. Demon now banging away on Scandal, playing ultra aggressive. Shackle's not going to latch, so that's going to be his mark to go ahead and turn back around. They are going to go ahead and bring down the side trap, throw down the sentry near Roche, de-ward if there was anything there. There is not. Finally, Bdiz able to get one of those wards out of his inventory. Taking a look at the gold graph, we're 22 minutes into the game, 10,000 gold the advantage for Empire at this moment. Just basically exactly the same in terms of experience and gold. And Empire, again, getting a lot out of their lineup. Goblak even has completed his Vlads now, so he's there to help his team in any way he can, aside from his heal. Gotta say, his microing of the creeps, little iffy. You can tell it's not a hero that Empire has run in quite some time, but all in all, Empire getting the job done on both sides of the river. And EG is gonna need they need a big team fight win. Clinkz is making some progress. I mean, he's actually not super far from his Orchid, but it's coming out of 23 minutes. That's pretty darn late.
It's a late Orchid, but he also bought another item that costs about 1,000 in the Medallion of Courage. So, again, he wanted to try to be more effective, and because Death Pact does give you such a high bonus damage increase, it makes sense as to why you would buy an Orchid. It's just, or excuse me, a Medallion. It's just delaying your Orchid by that much means you don't have that same map presence as you would normally, because if you Orchid a hero like Disruptor, Chen, or even a Darkseer to a certain extent, you can focus them down very easily, even by yourself in a lot of cases. We're going to see Jeyo get picked off in the bottom jungle by a solo Sven, and Blowyourbrain just going to walk away from it. So that is definitely not good if you're EG, but at this point, I don't even know if they're going to be able to defend much longer because of the kind of lineup that Empire has. All it's going to take is one more good Vacuum Disruptor combo, and it's all over.
Yeah. With the Vlad's up on Chen as well, I mean, again, just adding a little insult to injury. Just one more item they have to worry about. And it looks like they're just going to go ahead and wait for Roche. Roche going to be up momentarily. EG without a single outer tier tower remaining. Only one outer tier tower has been dropped by EG so far. They still got every other tower save for that tier 1 bottom, which you can understand why it's missing. That's the one lane Empire lost, but everywhere else just dominated more or less. And doesn't look like they're going to let up on the gas pedal now. Shoving the lanes out, doing all the prep work for this Roshan, and down comes the clock, and up comes the big guy. And here we go. They're going to move on in, Blowyourbrain with that Mask of Madness. Going to be able to go red if he wants to. If I actually check that 5 seconds cooldown, they're probably going to kill him way before he's even able to get that off of cooldown. EG's making their way down. I just don't think it's going to matter who's going to get it. It's going to go on Scandal, no surprise there. And there's a shackle shot. Demon reveals himself. Scandal goes up. There's kinetic field, not going to catch anything. No vacuum. Or no 1-2 vacuum, I should say. So EG at least able to dodge that bullet. And it's going to be a few seconds now. I mean, the increased vacuum cooldown time, it's at 10 seconds now. So he should have it back up once they decide to go ahead and move up the stairs. There's going to be a glimpse on Demon. Good attempt there. Unfortunately, Demon just moving left to right instead of north to south. Yep, Demon being very expressive with his emote faces throughout these playoffs. Empire pulling back a little bit now. EG not taking the bait. No doubt that's what they're up to, trying to bait EG back out of the base a little bit. Fear hanging out near the ward spot in the dire side jungle, and now Empire ready to just go for it, it would seem. Got a lot of Veno wards down, only so much time that's going to buy them. Empire now rotating over to bottom. Funk's going to be caught by a shackle shot. There's a Gale that catches a couple. So doing what they can with what they got from their position. Empire now breaching the steps. Warcry's going to be popped. And let's see who's going to fire the first big shot. There's the God Strength popped on Blowyourbrain. Mask of Madness is off cooldown now. And there's the Chen heal to get him back into fighting shape. How much are they going to sell out on this? Funnick surges. There's Kinetic Field. That's going to catch Demon. Demon's locked in. Jeyo with the BKB up. Off goes the Sonic Wave. Static Storm down as well. Veno pops his ult. Funnick, though, everyone on Empire just so tanky. One down. That's Jeyo, the one they did not want to lose for sure. And Maelk now having to make a run for the well. He's caught with a side trap. Bdiz and Fear in the same boat, trying to find some kind of safety. Meld on Maelk, as tanky as he is. Still losing a lot of health. Demon back up, ready to fight. Empire comes back down towards the racks. Kinetic Field actually does catch Demon, but not a whole lot of follow-up. Blowyourbrain. God's Strength is on cooldown, not going to have that in his arsenal. Uses the Warcry. Empire is actually going to go ahead and exit, and this has got to be a tough decision to make for them. Having done so well there, just trying to bait EG out, and they're actually going to succeed. There's a big Storm Hammer, catches a couple. Maelk and Demon caught by that. There's the Venomous Gale, going to lock Blowyourbrain in place with the Shackle Shot thrown by Demon. Down he goes. Scandal going to lose his Aegis. And I was a little surprised to see Empire pull out because Scandal did have that Aegis, and the BKB was used. So he wasn't going to have any way to get away. And if Empire was going to stay and fight, they should have just stayed and fought around the barracks. Instead, EG gets a much-needed win. They lose the Tier 3 tower, but the racks are still standing.
Yeah, they overextended a little bit right there, to say the least. I mean, they had an Aegis right there. They go into the base, and they lose it and lose Scandal. Anyway, that's actually his first death of the game, by the way, at 27 minutes in. So this is a situation where EG is going to be feeling a little bit more confident. You win a team fight like that, those are big turns. I mean, this isn't like a 10 or 5-minute skirmish or anything like that. That was a full-fledged Aegis team fight at 25 minutes. The golden experience that you get from that is much bigger. So this is a situation now where EG can kind of get a little bit of room on the map, especially after something like that big, and knowing that there's nothing that Empire is going to be able to do right away to just apply more pressure to them. And they're trying to catch Funnick top, but I'm not really sure if they're going to be able to.
Fear right on his tail. There's the Orchid pounding away, but just look how tanky Funnick is, even with all that damage being done. Demon's going to be there, though. 4-staff Shackle Shot. Way to line it up. Very well executed, and Fear walks away with the kill. Another kill he very much needs. Sitting at 5-2. Orchid is up, as is the Medallion. 1,600 gold in the bank on top of that, not to mention his treads and his Ring of Aquila. But it's back to Blowyourbrain. Continuing to suffer a bit. He's 1-5, has not had the optimum game. 93 last hits at 28 minutes, not where he wants to be either. And it's showing. He's just not as big a factor in a lot of these fights as he would like to be. Still quite a ways away from his BKB. He's got to have about, let's call it 2,700 gold. Maybe a little bit more. And now Goblak's going to be the next target of Fear. Fear gets another kill. And Clinkz, as bad a start as he had, is beginning to flex his muscles a little.
Well, this is exactly what they need. The only issue is that it's a little bit late, so it's not like Empire feels too much pressure as they're going to try to go on Scandal, but he pops the BKB, and no one from EG is really going to be able to do anything to stop it. It's just a matter of Fear being able to pick people off over and over again. That's what he needs to do from this point on. Stop Empire from getting their full 5 together and pushing down another lane. If they can accomplish that, EG is still in this game.
Oh yeah, absolutely. EG has hung quite well, weathering the storm at that bottom lane. So very important. They lose a set of racks there, then all of a sudden the complexion of this game changes irreparably. Instead, keeping those racks up allows them to play a much more map control-oriented game plan, which is what you want to do. If you're a Clinkz and if you have as much built-in mobility as they do between the Windrunner, the Queen of Pain, that's what they need to do, and they have managed to keep it alive. So Empire, taking a look at the gold graph, they're still pretty far ahead. Experience, though, has been roughly halved, down to just 6,000 the advantage. Gold still hovering around 10,000. But Fear, spending a lot of time in the Radiant side jungle now, looking to turn that around. I want to see Empire go ahead and smoke up. No targets within range right now, and the rest of EG wisely pulling back to the base. We've already got 3, make it 4 now. They're going to be back at the well. SS and Scandal serving as a bit of bait now. And Fear and nobody else going to take it, so a bit of a wasted smoke, and EG dodges a bullet.
Well, at this point, as long as they can continue what they've been doing, like I said, they just need to make sure that Empire doesn't get together as 5. We're talking about Darkseer, Wall, Vacuum, Disruptor ult. That in itself is very hard to deal with, but now Blowyourbrain's starting to get some semblance of farm. He's going to have a BKB relatively soon. All he needs is the extra 13 or 1400 gold to finish up his Mithril Hammer, and he'll have it. Then he can walk into a team fight with basically no fear at all. Level 3, or excuse me, 4 Warcry has 16 armor, so even a hero like Clinkz isn't going to be able to do that much damage to him with the BKB and Mask of Madness on. He'll take more, but it's not going to be enough to the point where I think EG feels confident in letting them get to their base, and they're taking pretty much that cue by walking down the river here mid, looking to try to start some kind of a fight. But they're just going to choose better of it and try to go to defend in their base. The question is it really better to let Empire get to your doorstep before you take a fight? Because then if you lose, you're going to lose a lot more than if you just would have fought in middle.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. That's a pretty big risk they're taking here. And here comes Funnick. He's going to spot Demon. Vacuum's going to knock him out of that. Demon immediately windruns, but here comes the rest of Empire. Kinetic Field's not going to get him. The Glimpse most certainly will. Brings him all the way back to the high ground. Demon doubles back towards his own secret shop. Shackle Shot actually buys him a little bit of time. Test of Faith. Doing some more damage. Side Trap. Catches Demon. Slows his movement speed. EG not coming out to help their brethren. Really no way they can. Demon, though, finally going to drop as the Stormhammer catches up with him. Spent as much time as he possibly could, drawing Empire out of range and as far back towards their own well as they could, buying a little bit more time for him to respawn. Taking a look at his gold, he is going to have enough for a buyback if he wants it. Buyback is ready, and there it is. So Empire, at least getting that one buyback off the board, still wants to push this tier, or excuse me, it's not even a tier 3 anymore, just naked racks in bottom. They're probably going to want to be very methodical about this, cannot overextend at all. They have to hit their combinations. EG in good shape. The tombstone placement going to be paramount importance, and Empire's ability to clear it out if it does go down. They're actually going to go ahead and retreat. Scandal heading back towards mid. Roche is still 3-4 minutes away. And yeah, they just decide, you know what, it's not worth it right now.
Well, risking it right now when Roshan is going to be on the table here in a couple of minutes is definitely something that I understand. Scandal is going to be chased down again, forced to pop another BKB, so his BKB is down to about 7 seconds, which isn't too bad. It's not like a 7-second BKB is going to make or break a team fight over anything else, but it's to a point where they're not willing to risk giving away losing a team fight and losing Roche back-to-back. That's just something that they really can't afford to happen. They're going to try to take a fight maybe around Roshan, abuse the fact that they have that Dark Seer vacuum in such a close space that you can get 3 or 4 heroes inside of a wall and just win the fight straight up and then go push and win the game. So I understand the fact that they want to back up. They're only 1 game away from winning the entire series, and they've given one up to EG, so they're playing it a little bit safer than I think most people are used to them playing it, but I don't really blame them for it either.
No, not one little bit. The one thing about Empire, though, again, they're solid all around, but aggressive is definitely in their wheelhouse. And when they're taken out of it, we have seen they do show some cracks in the armor. Blowyourbrain still way behind, 125 last. It's nearly doubled up by Funnick, for example. His items slowly, though, coming together. I think he may have... he's got the BKB recipe. Yeah, he's like 100 gold away from his BKB right now. So he's going to get that after clearing this camp out. And that should be that. And that's going to be a huge coup for him. The fact that it's going to be much harder to lock him down, especially the first usage he gets out of it with the 10-second magic immunity. And then that's going to sync up quite well with Roche, who is beginning to respawn as we speak. Looks like 60 seconds until the big guys back up. So Empire hinging their hopes on one more Roche fight. 20-18. They lead in kills. They lead in gold and in experience. But EG still looking pretty solid right now. But yeah, this is going to be a big fight. This is one of those fights where it may just all come down to this. The winner of this, especially if it's Empire, probably going to be sure to take a Rax as well. Not to mention the Aegis. So both teams with a lot on the line right here.
A lot on the line, to say the least. The only thing is that this fight is a lot about positioning as well. Because of the fact that Empire is going to be on EG's side of the map, if they do end up losing the fight, EG is going to be in so much more trouble because it's so easy to fall back, like you said, and just take that Roshan. And if they win the fight, then yeah, that's great, but they're still behind by a pretty wide margin, 10,000 gold, roughly about 8,000 experience. And it's going to get to a point where they're going to win a team fight and not be able to do much with it. There's a tier 1 standing mid. They might be able to take that. They should be able to get Roshan and then maybe take another team fight on the back of it, but it still puts a lot of pressure on you because winning one team fight at this point just isn't enough. If you're EG, you need to be able to win more than one in a row. But the one thing that they have to look forward to is that Chen is a hero who doesn't really scale that well. During the late game, he pretty much pops a mech if he has one, which in this game he doesn't because the Dark Seer bought it, and he pops his Hand of God, and then he kind of just flops over. He has a Vlad's, so he adds a little bit to his team fight potential and being able to push, but it's not really a make-or-break hero at this point. He's only level 11 at 34 minutes, where even the supports basically are catching up to him from the tri-island that EG was running. I mean, Bdiz is almost level 11, so he's going to have level 2 Poison Nova, and he's actually managed to secure himself a gem, so he's doing some counter-wording of his own whenever Empire is not on their side of the map.
Taking a look at the net worth, Empire occupies 3 of the top 4 slots. Number 1, Scandal on TA, no real surprise there. Followed by Clinkz, that's certainly where EG wants him, except they want him 1 slot higher. 11,000 net worth for Darkseer. Funnick still riding high on that early lane dominance he was able to achieve. And 9,000 for Sven, and we're actually going to see Funnick overtake Clinkz momentarily anyway. But with that BKB up on Blowyourbrain, things just got a lot more difficult for EG. They're playing very defensive now. In the meantime, Empire's moved in. Now, here's the thing for EG. They can't really... They either have to go now or they have to fall all the way back and just say, fine, we're just going to give it to you. If they screw around, they're going to end up giving the Aegis up and coming in at a bad moment and being caught a little bit strung out. Looks like they're going to go with the latter option. They're just going to go ahead and sack this entirely. Roche being taken down by Empire. And... problems if you're EG. Cheese on this Roshan as well. Let's see who ends up picking up the cheese. That's going to be SS, going to be looking to hold it at least momentarily. Yeah, just goes ahead and drops the sentry wards. Goblak going to go ahead and double back and pick that up. But EG possibly down to their last breath here in the D2L. Going to have their work cut out for them, to put it mildly. Trying to defend the naked racks in bottom with the deficit that Empire has put upon them so far. And even though they look pretty solid right now, again, I can't overstate the importance of the BKB on the Sven. All of a sudden, a hero who has been a very mitigated factor for most of the game for Empire is about to be hitting large and hitting frequently in a much bigger way.
That's the one problem, really, that EG has, too, is they have one hero that does a lot of physical damage, but that's pretty much it. The Queen of Pain really only has a BKB and an Ultimate Orb. That's not significant farm. Unless we're going to see a smoke gank, though, up on top. They might be able to snipe Blowyourbrain with a good shackle, but it's going to be very, very hard to get into that position.
Blowyourbrain uses the Mask of Madness, possibly sensing something was up, and yeah, they're just going to go ahead and rush down mid. Blowyourbrain with the Mask of Madness pop for nothing but the move speed. 10 seconds on the cooldown. And TP for Fear. He's going to be heading back. In the meantime, Empire has rushed up. Tier 3 being banged upon. Glyph is popped. Empire already in a pretty solid position right now, though. Blowyourbrain rejoining with them right now. There's a Shackle. Going to catch a couple, but there's the God Strength. He's got the Mask of Madness popped as well. They're going to lose the melee racks for sure. Here comes Jeyo, uses a Scream. There's a melt, though. Jeyo with the BKB pop. Blowyourbrain just focusing on nothing but the racks. Off goes the ulti from Bdiz. Stormhammer catches a couple, but look at the damage output from Blowyourbrain. Haven't seen this all game. They're getting it when they need it the most. Empire pulls back. No reason to overcommit, to overextend this time around. Sonic Wave comes out, but the hand of God leads to the big vacuum wall. EG all bleeding and running for the well. Blowyourbrain pursuing Maelk. There's the meld, reducing the armor, making it so hard to stand and fight in the face of all this damage. They've got magic damage. They've got physical damage, and they're using it all to shut EG down. And there it is. Maelk calls it. GG, congratulations, Empire wins. They're going to be our first place team in the D2L inaugural season, season number 1, going home $5,000 richer. What a run they've had, Draskell, and what a series to cap things off against EG. Well played all around.
Really well done by Empire. It's a shame that didn't go to the max distance going all the way to a game number 5, but I gotta say EG did a pretty good job, especially managing to take one off of Empire, even though they seem to have been on a roll today. It's like Empire came back with a vengeance after the first day of the tournament. I mean, it's just a situation where EG just gets outpicked one too many times, and they get in this position where they play really well. Like, during the team fights, their positioning and their team fight decisions were actually pretty good. It's just a matter of they put themselves at such a disadvantage whenever they pick their lanes that it's so hard in itself to get back from just that. And against a team who has the coordination like Empire, who has the ability to outpick you and outlane you, that's just, not enough. You can't just play really well and expect to win against a team like Empire. If you're going to get outpicked, you got to bring more to the table. That's pretty much what I think Empire was able to win the Specified Series and ultimately take everything.
Well, slowly waiting on this to wind up. EG's not done doing their work, apparently. They're going to come back out. Maelk's already disconnected, so that's already done and over. Just kind of extending things. There's buybacks coming out. But with the GG's called, EG's run has come to an end. Come on, guys, let us get the scoreboard up. Kind of interrupts the flow of the whole excitement and all that whenever we got to watch you farm the fountain a little bit longer. But anyway, Empire, who came into this tournament and was actually a fill-in team. Keep that in mind. Empire was not originally a team that was going to be a part of the D2L. They came in and did quite well in the group stage. Not as well as EG. Came up short against EG in the group stage even and got 2-0'd in the process. Then dealt EG their first best-of-3 loss of the entire tournament, stretching all the way from beginning to end. Knocking them down to the lower bracket, the rematch here, and EG comes up just a little bit short, and there it is. The final ancient drops here at the D2L, and our victors, our champions, gonna be Empire. Empire, again, their performance throughout the entire tournament, just absolutely amazing. And we've seen them throw a lot of surprising things at us. Demon says, GG, congrats, congrats, indeed do. EG, again, considered the home team. I mean, EG, EvilGeniuses, not the organization, not the team. The guys hosting this tournament, and Draskell and I lucky enough to be brought on for this, but I'm exhausted. I'm emotionally spent, but in a very, very good way, Draskell. What a fun time it's been over the last 2.5 months.
Really awesome tournament. I gotta say, it was one of the smoothest tournaments that I've ever had the pleasure of being a part of, so I would like to give a personal thanks to Gianni, I think, in the back, who's pretty much done all the scheduling for us and been awesome to us in general, and all the EG guys, of course, did an amazing job as well with the overlays and everything, and just making sure that we were able to come and do what we love to do, which is cast and get a bunch of awesome games in the process to give to you guys, and thanks to everybody for watching, of course. And I don't know, man, I feel pretty much the same way. Yesterday and today were two of the best days of Dota that I've had in a very long time.
Very much agreed, my friend, and the folks who have made this all possible, a lot of folks to name and to thank. How about we start with the sponsors? Much love and much thanks to RaidCall, the title sponsor of the RaidCall D2L, to Sapphire, to Monster Energy, and to Intel. Want to thank Valve and IceFrog. They worked with us in the early planning stages of the D2L, so much love to them. Again, want to thank the staff that have really made this happen in the background. Draskell and I get the privilege of making noises at microphones for you so you always see and hear us. But the folks who have really driven this from the background, Colin, Drew, Gianni, and Lucas, much thanks to them for all of their efforts, and to all of the teams, of course, not just here for the playoffs, Dignitas Zero, Empire, and EG, but the other teams involved as well. It has been an honor and a privilege to be broadcasting these last months, and don't worry, we got more D2L action on the horizon. Just make sure you keep up. Follow EvilGeniuses on Twitter. Look for updates. Follow Draskell and myself. We'll have updates for you in the details of future seasons and future events hosted here on One More Game TV 2, coming at you in the very, very near future. In the meantime, Draskell, you're heading out tomorrow, right? Heading out real soon.
8:15 in the morning is my flight time, so a little bit more than 12 hours from now, I will be on a plane to Sweden and going out there to cast DreamHack, of course, with the likes of Toby Gods and, of course, James from the Good Studio. And then I'll be spending the better part of a month at the Good Studio itself doing some content for them, so it should be a really good time. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I want to congratulate you again on that, my friend. You and I have been casting for quite some time now. Been casting for about 8 months together. I have had the honor and the privilege of working together.